You know, I was playing with the Hades, and I thought, what would it be like if we married it up to the Erebus? Yeah, so that's what I've done. And in this video, I'll talk about 3 really cool points about having them working together. And it's a very nice compliment for my Erebus. Okay, so we've already talked about the Hades as a bass synthesizer and explored some of the capabilities, but what I wanted to do now is look at the Hades tied up, married to, bound with the Erebus, the Erebus. It actually makes an excellent little complement synth for the Erebus. If you want a third oscillator, this is an easy way to get it. I like it. So anyway, the setup I have here is it's MIDI out from the Akai Miniac, and by the way, no sounds are coming from the Akai Miniac. MIDI out into the MIDI in for the Erebus, then MIDI through from the Erebus into the Hades. That triggers the oscillator on the Hades. Then the audio out from the Hades is going into the audio in for the Erebus. So the only thing inherited sound-wise from the Hades right now is the oscillator. It's running, the filter's wide open, so it should mostly be, shouldn't be nuanced in any way by the Hades. Going into the Erebus, we're only the filter on the Erebus, which is a 12 dB filter, 2-pole filter, compared to the 3-pole filter on the Hades. So again, everything sound-wise is being sculpted by the Erebus. Now there are 3 really cool things that this lets you do with the Hades tied to the Erebus like this. First thing is it gives you a third oscillator when you're working in paraphonic mode to do 3-note chords. Yes, that's right. This is very cool. It's a little thin sounding, of course, because there's 1 oscillator per note in the chord, but it's still kind of cool because the Erebus alone can only do 2-note paraphony, 2-note paraphonic. Anyway, paraphony, I don't even know how you say that. Now this was a surprise to me. When I hooked the 2 up, I thought, hey, let's try the unison mode and see how it works, and sure enough, it just allots that extra oscillator from the Hades. Now when you're only playing 1 note, all 3 oscillators sound, and they sound at the same note. As you increase it though, the extra MIDI trigger takes one of the other oscillators and assigns it to the new note, as you can see here. Very cool. I was very happy to find out that it could do this. So. Oh, and you can still use the effects for everything. Now, unfortunately, you do get a little feedback. You have to keep the volume output from the Hades a little lower because it does kind of overdrive the filter. And when it's in paraphonic chord mode, it's easier to hear the little snaps and crackles if it's overdriving it. As a mono synth, it's not a big issue. So anyway, that's the first cool thing about marrying up the Hades to the Erebus. The second one, let's put it in unison mode. So no more paraphonic chords. It just gives you a really big, fat mono voice. And if you want, it looks like the Hades sits at around the same octave as 16 as indicated on the Erebus. So when both these oscillators are at 16, they match the pitch of the oscillator on the Hades. So, but if you want, you can make one of them lower. Or you can even turn up the other subs from the Hades, or even the subs from this. Oh, sorry, there are no subs on the Erebus. So hey, that's another advantage. Now you have sub oscillators added into the Erebus. Okay, that's one octave below. Let's try the one that's 2 octaves below. You can hear it distorting a little bit there. Still sounds great though, so of course, we put everything on sawtooth. We've got 3 big sawtooths going. Very cool. Okay. Number 3, the Hades can provide you, if you, like me, are an owner of the first version of the Erebus, which has no pulse width modulation. This is a low frequency oscillator depth input instead of pulse width. Only version 2 has the pulse width. This now offers me a pulse width modulated oscillator. So let's turn these guys off and start with just the pulse width. So there it is, a pulse width modulated pulse wave. Add in some square waves. Let's make them an octave higher. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. I'm quite happy. I mean, I was happy playing with the Hades all by itself. Now that it's hooked up and working with the Erebus, it's even more beneficial, even more useful, even more applications I can think of. So Anyway, there you have it. The Dreadbox Hades, married up to the Erebus analog synthesizer. It gives you a third oscillator to do paraphonic 3-note chords. It gives you a third oscillator to fatten up your sound. For folks who don't own the first edition Erebus, it also gives you a pulse width modulated wave oscillator. And then a fourth point, which I didn't think of until I was in the middle of doing this, was it gives you sub-oscillators now. So these two things married together are one loud, aggressive synth, and I like it. So, by the way, we're drinking a Christmas beer, Weihnachtsbier. So Prost! Cheers! Tschüss! Bis später!